Hey Jesper, how are you doing?
Hey Joey, man, I'm good. How about you?
All good? You're
Okay,
in a
nice.
white studio as well, same as
Well,
me.
yeah. It's not really wide. I think it's the settings of my webcam, but it
Oh
looks kind
really?
of wide. Yeah.
It's Morel, right? It's a Morel design.
Yeah. I didn't. It was like back in the day. I just only like had him do the panels in
Hmm.
my studio. So it's not like a fully built studio. It's like I can take everything apart from the walls and
Oh
stuff.
really?
For example, if I want to move somewhere else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the acoustic panels. Pretty
Where
good.
where is it located? In your home or
No. This is in it's actually funny. It's in a wooden factory.
in a wooden factory?
Yeah.
Oh,
So outside they're like cutting wood and stuff.
and you don't hear them.
Yeah, every now and then I hear them, but my volume goes louder. So
You beat them.
yeah.
Oh, that's fun. It's actually you hear that more often that studios are located in factories.
Well, I didn't really like necessarily chose this location. Like it was like before I had a studio in Amsterdam
Hmm.
in the same building as where like the party squad are based.
Hmm.
And I live in Almere,
Hmm.
and it's like a 30-minute drive. And at some point I was like, whenever I have this like idea, I don't want to drive 30 minutes to
Yeah.
to go to the studio. And I live in an apartment, so a studio in my house would not be possible.
Hmm.
But then like a friend of my mom, he had like this huge like building on like a industrial place. And actually the size of the room was perfect. And it happened to be a wooden factory, but yeah, it's pretty okay. I mean, like they don't really bother the music, so it's a loud environment
Yeah.
anyways, you know.
And you can
Like
work that 24/7 probably.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess in that case, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice, man.
Yeah.
And just to give the audience some context about who you are, I know. Well, I think we've met a couple of times at gigs. We didn't really have a like a long talk before, but we definitely saw each other, yeah, every now and then.
Yeah.
But that's ages ago.
True.
um, who is Alvaro?
Well, I used to be a DJ,
Hmm.
and I'm still a producer. But yeah, I feel like producing. I think the most people know me by like my big room sound.
Yeah.
Like the first big song I did was "Make the Crowd Go," and then I think the second biggest one was "Welcome to the Jungle," was
Yeah.
released on Revealed.
Yeah. With
It was
Hartwell,
pretty,
right?
yeah, um, and it was pretty big song. So yeah, this is basically all my songs were like big room, and yeah.
Yeah. And you already mentioned like I was a DJ. Something changed. And like when did you quit, or are you fully quit, fully done, or
Well, I haven't played in like 2 years, maybe. I don't
okay,
know.
yeah. And
It's
that was
it's
a
it's
and
been a
that was a
while.
conscious decision to stop playing.
Well, not right away. Like we started with like yeah, but then like you have to go back to like the beginning, you know, like when I started DJing.
Hmm.
Um, and like when I released those songs, "Welcome to the Jungle," I was like traveling the whole world. Um, but at some point, like the whole big room was so repetitive, and there were like a lot of people joining in,
Yeah.
which kind of like saturated the whole thing.
We're talking
Um,
about 2012, 13.
yeah, actually, I think it was later when like EDM really went like down.
Yeah.
This big room.
Hmm.
I think that was like 15, maybe 2015, 16, maybe.
I quit in 2015. I decided to quit. So
2015?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
then
4 years ago.
yeah, so maybe like 16, 17, it really like went down, I think.
Yeah, it could be.
Like a couple years ago, a lot of people stopped DJing.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that at that moment I was like, it was like a whole like combination of things, like me playing 4 or 5 years and didn't really enjoy it always, was also like a huge factor for me to like do something else, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, and so at the point of like Spotify coming up, it was the same like years. I started like producing pop music, um, and I actually also stopped DJing at that point. Because for me, it didn't really make sense to DJ anymore. Like I had some friends telling me like, yeah, you should do some shows, you know, so people know you're still here, right? And I was like, yeah, but what's the point if I'm gonna play there while not releasing any music?
Yeah.
It's like it's gonna end anyways, you know, if you stop now or like. So I was like, no, let me just like start producing right away and don't waste any time on doing shows that don't matter anyways, you know.
Yeah.
And for the money, I didn't have to do it at that point because I already like got a lot of money from all the years I was playing. So I had this like buffer where I could spend some time off.
Yeah.
So actually, I didn't stop DJing at like one point, but I told my manager to not accept any bookings anymore for a period. That period is like it's a couple of years now.
Yeah. Okay. So it just always stayed like that.
Yeah. I kind of like went this whole like new direction and it was like it felt like starting all over again.
Yeah.
Which was pretty cool, and like I felt the same way as when I was like starting making music.
And what made it feel like that?
Because it's a whole new. Well, like, first of all, it's a whole new genre. You have to do pop music or like commercial music, which is like totally different than EDM.
Yeah.
EDM is just always same bass line. It's like it's pretty basic.
Yeah.
Even if you use chords or bass lines, it's like it's much more simple than like pop music.
I think it's a bit more straightforward.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like a whole new thing. I remember like I started with a friend of mine, Bas van Dalen, a good buddy.
Mm-hmm.
We started like producing together. Let me think. Yeah, that's we like created like 10 songs, like commercial songs. But we then like already figured out we want to send some like bigger artists the songs.
Yeah.
But I felt like at that point we were not that good enough yet. Because what I told you earlier, like if you make the switch to pop songs, you're gonna compete with every like Katy Perry's and Rihanna's, and so your production quality needs to be like over the top. It needs to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Did you think at that moment that your production quality was at a high level? Not high enough, but
no, because that's also the producer problem, right? You never think it's good enough.
So even at that point, even with having multiple successful releases, a collaboration with Hardwell, already touring the world, you were
but that was different. Like I felt like I was on like different grounds, if you know what I mean. Like I was on a whole different I was on a whole different field working, you know?
Yeah.
So that was the reason why I didn't figure it was good straight away, you know, because I was like, it's the same if I ask you to make a trap song and you never made a trap song. Yeah. It's the same as starting producing again. You have to take a couple years to at least be good at it, right?
Yeah. Exactly. But at the end of your EDM career, well, at the end, were you happy with the result of your tracks, or were you still like insecure about how it sounded? Or
you mean the EDM tracks?
Yeah, the EDM tracks. Yeah.
That's a good question. Actually, I thought everything was terrible, even my own songs.
Really?
Yeah.
Even the ones that you decided to release as well.
I mean, like, welcome to the. You mean like the songs I released back in the day?
Yeah.
I still like them. I understand why they work.
Yeah.
and I think they're cool, you know, at that time. Um, but the stuff I made after it, like there was this whole like pressure thing where people expected me to do the same thing,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to do that, so I started making other stuff, and at that point it was just like every day another like different artist made like a big room song, and I was just like I was getting depressed by everything I heard.
Hmm.
So that's also the reason why I tried like making some songs like big room, but I just like I was like, nah, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. So you went over to pop music.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was a whole new challenge because it's different techniques or it's different arrangements.
Yeah, everything is like from songwriting to arrangement
Yeah.
to the use of chords to the use of top line melodies. It's like the whole like for example, you can have a really you can have a huge big room song
Mm-hmm.
with the right drop, but if the break is kind of weird, it doesn't really matter because
Mm-hmm.
the drop is where people are
Yeah.
waiting for. They don't care about the chords in the break. I mean, of course, it's nice if it's really beautiful, you know, but most of the times it doesn't matter. But
Mm.
with a pop song, every little thing needs to be perfect. From the hi-hat to the snare to the kick drum to the overall feel of the song,
Yeah.
the chords, like everything needs to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's a huge difference.
What was the biggest change for you? Like the biggest thing you were struggling with in the beginning?
Um, I guess like production quality. I think
Hmm.
like I made some good songs like pop songs, but I could hear the difference between other pop songs.
Hmm.
Um, but that's just in production quality, and that's what I said before. Like if you do trap right now and you never made it, I can hear that you're not a trap producer.
Yeah. Sounds
And
like
that,
trap, but it's not trap.
yeah, it has the same kick drum and snare, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have the feel of it, right? And that's why you hear the difference between guys that make trap for like 10 years already.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that, I mean, everyone can play a four chord melody, you know, like the most basic pop chords ever, but it's not gonna make it a good song.
Yeah.
So I knew at that point that production quality was the reason why some songs didn't sound good to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the next step was just to bring up the quality and come up with like, and that's like also a really important thing. I feel like what I decided at that point was I wanted to make pop music,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't want to sound as like a generic
Yeah.
pop song because I figured if you're like a super big artist and I'm gonna send you a pop song and it sounds like the most generic pop song there is, you're not gonna even answer to me, right?
No.
So my goal was to make it a little bit special, make it weird, make it different, and that's kind of like how we started and like working towards where we are right now.
And how did you? Because you mentioned like when you noticed that your quality wasn't high enough, you started working on getting the quality better. What was
Yeah.
it that you were doing at that time to get to that next level?
Well, for example, if you make, I feel like pop music is all about small details.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured that if I listen back, it's the same when you listen back to your old songs, you can hear a lot of stuff missing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it sounds so empty, right? It's only a kick drum and
Yeah.
a snare. And it's actually the same thing that happened to me. Like, we started making those songs, but they were like super empty. They had no body. So eventually, we like I figured out that we have to like add a lot of detail to it. Like ambient stuff, like just fill it up with a bunch of like extra melodies and little ideas in between and make it interesting to sound.
And was that more a process of trial and error, or was that like learning it from YouTube tutorials?
Well, mostly listening to other songs, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
I I never really looked up a tutorial because I think there's basically no tutorial that tells you how to make pop songs. But
And you already knew how to make music, so
yeah. So like some techniques. I remember we started doing, and that was like I think 3 years ago, or four even, like when we started. Um, we founded this like vocal chop. Like everybody at that time was doing the vocal chops.
yeah.
Like for example, Kaigo, all those like basic vocal chops. And then I remember hearing this song from, I think it was Lauf, and he had this beginning like,
Yeah.
and it sounded to me like a violin or something, but it was actually his vocal. And that really triggered me, like, oh, this is so amazing, like this is something new, right? We have to like start doing this instead of like doing the basic vocal chops that everybody does.
Yeah.
So in some way, like, I was really getting inspired by other songs that were coming up. And Lauf at that time wasn't really a big song. I remember
that was his first hit, right? I Like It Better, or You Like It Better?
Yeah, I Like It Better, yeah. And I remember finding that song, and it wasn't huge at all. It had maybe like 5,000 or 10,000 plays at that time. Yeah, it was just later that song became like super big. But it really inspired me, and there's like a couple of songs that did the same. So we started basically doing the vocal chops, but more organic. Like organic became really important in all the stuff we did.
Yeah.
Like didn't want to sound like this is like standard Nexus sounds, or or like Massive or Serum. So actually started to make, it was a weird process, but we started to make new sounds sound like they're old. You know what I mean?
So actually breaking them down to old sounds.
Yeah, like lowering the quality a little bit, adding some like flutter, like wobble in between them to make them sound like it's like an 80s synth or something.
Some final distortion.
Yeah, exactly, that kind of stuff, and in together with all the vocal chop processing. Like at that time, formatting a vocal chop was something brand new. I'm not sure if Lauf did that in the song. I think he formatted it, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. Yeah. What kind of plugins did you use to do that?
Well, the biggest thing, and it's funny how you discover plugins and then a year later you see everyone using them, which is kind of like, that's the whole thing, right? Like everybody wants to find that new like plugin. But at that time it was Manipulator. I don't know if you...
I've heard of it, but which one is it?
It's from those mushroom guys.
Oh yeah, the great plugins. Manipulator.
But anyways, it was just basically a picture with formats.
Yeah. I've seen the video. Yeah, that's what I know it from. I've seen the demo video from the Affected Mushroom guys.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah.
And it's funny because the plugin is not necessarily made for doing that. Because in the demo video they use it for like super weird stuff.
Yeah.
But we started using that to like use it on vocal chops, and like I would like sing a melody in a microphone and then format it up and like melodyne it.
Yeah.
It, like basically slowly I started like I started to do more how do you call that, sound
design.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. And that made also a really big change in pop songs, because I think nowadays if you listen to pop songs, it's a lot of sound design. Like
and I think what you also say, like the combination between organic and digital created music, I think that's really big right now. As in, I was listening to the Skrillex and Ed Sheeran track.
Oh yeah.
That's so crazy produced, like how all those little details are in it, and how what he did with the vocals, and so great to hear. But I think it's the combination between using organic and digital samples as well. I think that even the Justin Bieber track, the big which one was it?
Yeah.
They used his voice Also Skrillex. They used his voice to make the melody.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That was at that time. We started doing that
Yeah.
actually. Yeah. Well, actually, I did it. I did it before already. But
Hmm.
yeah, then like everybody started kind of doing that. But yeah, like Skrillex is a big inspiration for like changing the whole industry with
And you
sound.
know, the fun fact is, I didn't even knew it was the vocal until I saw the video of him making it. I was like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
a lot of people don't know, but like for example, it's like, and that's the funny thing about music in general, but also pop music. It's always evolving, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you remember the first, I remember the first song I heard from like Afrojack was like I think it was Pony Floor or something.
Yeah.
You go, you
Yeah.
know, the vocal chop.
Yeah.
But that was just basically like a small vocal chop and then stretched, right?
Yeah.
So it was the whole vocal chop was the same feel, the whole melody.
Yeah.
And then Skrillex started doing started the difference was that it's like someone singing the melody.
Exactly.
Instead of programming the melody, someone started singing the melody. And that makes it so much more organic because a voice I feel like a voice is the best instrument because it's never perfect.
Yeah.
It's always some like vowels and like
always a bit off or something.
yeah, but it makes it sound so natural for people to listen to instead of this like synth that's a little bit cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some of the like techniques
Yeah.
I
Super
started
interesting.
like doing. Yeah, I feel like in pop music that's the most important thing is staying ahead of everyone. It's like always with the new sound, and that's when, for example, like after I started doing that with my buddy, after like a year, I think, or like I think after 2 years we started, it was good enough. And we had this like super poppy songs with. It was so weird because we used kalimbas in it. Nowadays, if you would hear a kalimba song or like kalimba instruments in a song, it's like, oh my god, this guy found out there's omnisphere, you know? But for that time, we were like the first doing that. We even did it before Ed Sheeran did it with that famous Shape of You. Shape of You started doing the kalimbas. But we had a song like a year before that song already with, and even it was like a combination of kalimbas, the vocal chop, and I think the beat was like Afro beat. So the tuk 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 tuk, which became really big after like a couple of years.
Can you tell which song it is, or is that like secret?
No, it's never been released. That's the funny thing. We made it, and there was a vocalist on it that actually was from another song, and I pitched the speed up because the new project, the commercial one, was really like the BPM was higher, and somehow he kind of sounded like Post Malone, right? So I thought like this is a really good song. Let's send it to Diplo, see what he thinks, right? So we sent him the song, and he was like, "Yeah, this is dope. I might get Post Malone on this one." And we were like, okay, well, I guess the music is good enough right now.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's interesting to me as well. How did you decide, like, okay, now our music, my music is good enough? Was it you that decided it, or did you need confirmation from someone else?
No, I think it was eventually me or like me and my manager and my buddy maybe making that decision, but I feel like it was kind of my because I knew Diplo before, like I knew what he liked, you know, like, and I think I'm good at like knowing how somebody else thinks, or like know what somebody wants.
Yeah.
So at that point, we were just like, fuck it, let's just send it, you know. So yeah, we just made randomly that decision, and eventually it was a good decision, you know. But yeah, it's always hard to say, like, there's not really a perfect time to say, like, now it's good enough.
Yeah, exactly. And how do you decide that for yourself?
Yeah. I mean, when there's nothing else more to add to it,
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's when it's like it's fine. Or
Okay.
if sometimes it doesn't even matter if the whole concept is so good,
Mm-hmm.
but the drums are like weird. It still doesn't really matter. It's about I feel like it's about the concept in
Okay.
general in like pop songs because somebody needs to write to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the most important thing. Um, yeah, it's
Okay.
it's it's hard to say. Like I think,
Yeah.
and that's also the reason if you make something, if I make a song for you, I'll send it to you whenever I think it might fit you.
Yeah.
But if I would make a song for myself, it's like totally different. Be like, oh, are they gonna like it? But what happens if it goes to Spotify? Are people gonna like it? You know, it's like
Yeah.
you can't really compare that. It's like it's difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's something I see happening with a lot of artists as well. Like defining the moment when you say, okay, it's done, it's finished, I'm
Yeah,
closing the project, it's really hard for a lot of people.
yeah, yeah. It's true.
It's even hard for me if I look back at when I was still making music a lot of times. What was it for me? Like I just somehow knew I felt like okay, it's done. You know, like I maybe
Yeah,
it's the thing you mentioned, like knowing there's nothing more to be added, like not having any creativity left to say like okay, this could be better, this could fit in here. I don't
yeah.
know.
I think also important reason why a lot of people are afraid that their song is not good yet is like for example I know like back in the days I sent all my songs to Hardwell, Tiesto, even DJ Snake. I sent it some like they were not even finished, but he played them live, right? For example, DJ Snake did that a lot, and I believe Chester also did it. But it also happened a couple times that a Hardwell or a Snake or a Chesto just never replied to me. I feel like that's the point where you get insecure,
Yeah,
where you're like, this guy played all my other songs, but now I'm sending in new stuff, and he's not answering.
yeah,
So it's probably trash. It's shit.
yeah,
And I think that's also really hard. Like even Snake now like last week he sent me a direct message. Yo, send me some new shit. And I was like, yeah, but I don't really do club music anymore.
yeah.
But then I actually did a song. I sent it to him, and he didn't reply. So, like, what does that explain? Like, is he too busy? Does he like it? Does he think it's shit?
I think the problem is that it could be 1,000 reasons, and because it's really hard to live without an explanation, your mind starts to come up with explanations.
Yeah, you want
And
to fill in
yeah, and
the
that's where you start to make assumptions. And
exactly.
assumptions
Yeah.
are the mother of all fuck ups, as in, if you start to fill in thoughts of someone else, you're done.
Yeah, exactly. And that's when you start making music, you have
Yeah.
no assumptions.
Yeah,
You just do whatever you like and you
yeah.
do whatever feels good, right?
It's an open plate.
Yeah, and I feel like nowadays the more knowledge you have and the more experience you have, also the more doubt you have about like stuff. And
Hmm.
you're thinking instead of just thinking about the song, you're already thinking in your mind Spotify, YouTube, or is he gonna like it? Is
Yeah,
he gonna oh he's not answering. Oh, Spinning doesn't want a song. You know, it's like so many
yeah,
shit fucking with your head, you know?
yeah.
It's
It's
like
tough. Yeah, I can
yeah.
relate to it. So,
Uh,
when you decided to end your career as a DJ,
yeah.
or at least stop it for a while,
Yeah,
you started to focus full on for production, like pop music.
yeah.
Is that also the thing that you're making money from right now?
Yeah. I signed
So,
like a publishing deal,
mhm.
so then you
so,
get
so it's still possible to make a living from just making music.
of course, yeah,
Let's
of
establish
course.
that right now.
Yeah, it's like somebody else was asking me this the other day, like what how do you say that? Like where do you get the most money from?
Hmm.
Like for example, like take a Drake for example. Like does he get more money from his songs, streamings,
Hmm.
or does he get more money from his shows? And I feel like that's the perfect combination is releasing songs. Like look at Marshmello for example, right? He basically has everything. He's like a gimmick with the
Yeah.
head. He has pop songs and he's doing live shows. So that's like the whole circle of money that's coming in.
Yeah.
And that's the only problem when you're a producer. You don't do any shows.
Yeah.
So that's no income. So I feel like if you're producing music, you have to do a lot of music to eventually make money.
And then you sell those beats, or how does that work?
Yeah, we put them on Marktplaats.
Like eBay.com and see who bids the most.
No. It started like when I told you about that song with Post Malone that actually didn't make it at all. But that kind of like got me in with Diplo, and from there on I got like the first invite to go to. There was the Cayman Islands to go on like a riding camp with a bunch of like. There was even like a girl that's now writing songs for Drake, for Chris Brown, for Beyonce. There was just a random guy sitting there, and I was like, who is this guy? And then we Googled his name. And there came up an interview of Adele saying that she never want to work with anyone except for this guy. And I was like, oh shit, I'm sitting with like the biggest songwriters in the game, right?
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, that's kind of like how we got into it. So we did one writing camp, then we did another, then we did a couple others, and it just went on like going.
And how did you get your foot between the door? Like, obviously you already knew Diplo from like months or years before, but how did you get in contact with him? What was that, through your own music, or?
Well, like I did the song with him like way before, like when I started doing music.
How did that happen?
Just emails, yeah.
Really?
Social media, yeah. And then I did this song for the Party Squad, which eventually ended up being a Major Lazer song called Original Done. That's I guess that's the first moment when I met Diplo. We were in the studio like working on that song. So I guess he always like knew me, and that's always been weird. Like even like a snake like direct messaging me, you know, like I feel like in the whole scene everybody knows each other.
It's a small world.
Yeah, like same as you, like, right? Like, what's this Alvaro guy doing? And like, look him up and let's ask him some questions. And I feel like everybody has that same thing, same way of like looking at other people. Oh, what are they doing? Like, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I always like to tell this stuff, because a lot of people don't even know I'm doing this. They
no,
just
to me it's a complete surprise as well. And I'm not even sure, like, I'm not even sure how I ended up on your Instagram page, but somehow I ended up there. And I was like, what's this guy doing? Like, I still remembered you from, let's say, 5 years ago when I decided to quit. And your music was played everywhere, you know, like the track with Hartwell, the Welcome to the Jungle track, literally all over the world. And somehow, maybe it was me, or maybe, I don't know, that's why I wanted to have a talk with you. Somehow you disappeared, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I was just wondering, like, what's this guy doing? So I was really curious to hear your story. And I already had an idea of what you were doing, but it's still really interesting to see how things can turn up.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, like, still, like, because that's with every song. That, for example, I worked on the Ellie Goulding song with Diplo and Sway Lee, which was like has like almost 400 million streams right now. And it was like I was like wondering, like, should I post something about that? Is it weird? Like, what are people gonna think? Like, you're not releasing any songs, but you're posting a picture that you're working on.
Maybe it's a weird question, but is that something you can do? Like, is that legally possible for you to do?
Yeah, of course. I'm official. I'm in the credits, so.
Okay, yeah.
But then the other question is like, is it good to do it? Like, is it a moral way to? Because like for the example is that you work on a song for someone else, and you're like, yeah, I made it. But I think that's the whole different perspective on it. Is same as why people say ghost producers and I say co-producer. It's because I didn't make that song all on my own, you know. Didn't start it with me. It's like a combination of a bunch of people
Like
that work
more
together
like a
on the
team
song.
effort.
Yeah, and I feel like even the biggest artists have writers and stuff.
Hmm.
Like even like Beyonce has like 13 writers on the song, and
They
no,
have this album cover, right? Someone I
yeah,
saw it somewhere on the internet. Like the album, the inside of the cover of the album, like how many people collaborated on that album. It's like
yeah,
crazy.
and nobody cares about it, you
Yeah,
know.
no one
So,
asks.
and I feel that's like something like at this moment, it's really hard to make the best song on your own. I think you just need people now.
Hmm.
You need to work together. You need writers. You need like it's just everything together makes a better song, I feel.
Hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
how I work now, you know, like we get this idea from someone and then I'll work on it and then my buddy works on it and then, for example, two other guys will have their vision on it and change a couple things. That's where you get the perfect song because um, the bar is set really high right
Yeah.
now with pop songs.
And I think you keep challenging each other as well. If there's more
Yeah,
people involved and one makes it better than you do, you feel like kind of triggered to make it even better. You know, like you keep trying
exactly.
to trump each other.
Yeah, that's why I love working with my friend Buzz on those songs because with the two of us, it's just so much easier to
Yeah.
make a good song than just all alone, and you have nobody to like ask something or like
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, I really like I think like working together is one of the best things to do in like in making pop songs.
That's actually one of the things that I would have wished I would found out earlier in my career. Like I did most of the things on my own, and I
Yeah,
worked a lot with Epster. You know Epster, right?
yeah,
I started off doing a lot with him, and that worked so well. Like there was such a great chemistry between us two. But
yeah,
somehow we wanted to do our own careers, and then we went solo.
yeah,
And it's just so different. Like being in the studio on your own is, to me, is less fun. uh,
yeah.
and I think the results are even better when you're with more people.
Yeah, and marketing wise, it's also much better. Like,
Yeah,
look,
two
for
audiences.
example, Bassjackers, like Marlon is just traveling,
Hmm.
and Ralph is just like making all the songs, right?
Yeah,
And it's like the perfect combination because he
yeah,
doesn't want to travel and he does. So,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly. But
I
isn't
feel,
that like an agreement nightmare if so many people work on a track?
yeah, it is. Yeah, that's also like a different. Um, I mean, it will never change. Like the whole industry is the
Yeah.
industry, right? Like labels taking a lot from the money. Like even spinning records did the same thing, right? You release the song on the YouTube channel, and it get like 20 million views, and you will get zero money from the YouTube video.
Zero?
Yeah,
How?
they, because they take all the streams from when they monetize it,
Yeah.
right? They all. I don't know if it's right now if they do the same
Hmm.
thing, but I remember back in the days it was in the contract like you
Wow,
don't earn nothing on the YouTube views. And I
that's
think
tough.
now maybe that changed, you know, because it was a little bit clear to people that like you cannot run away with money
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
But yeah, there's a lot of labels that are like they put a lot of pressure on you.
yeah. And I think aside from the labels, like if you work with that kind of artists, like the bigger ones, they have managers, and everyone wants to get their piece of the pie, and it's
Yeah.
I think that's a tough negotiation to go into.
Yeah, I feel like it's a process, right?
Hmm.
I think you have, and that's the same with everything. You need to invest in the beginning,
Hmm.
um, yeah, you have to invest in the beginning. Like for example, look at like for example, Max Martin is like one of the pop gods, right?
Yeah,
And he has so much control, but he never started like that, you know. So he made his way up.
yeah,
Um, and I feel like that's the way in pop music. Like you have to get your name out there.
hmm,
You have to make number one hit songs, and then people will start to recognize you, and then you can do different
yeah.
negotiations, you know, in contracts or whatever.
What's the main thing, or maybe the most important thing you've learned in the last 2 years?
Follow your dreams. No. Phew. Well, I think for me the most important thing is just do whatever you like and what makes you happy, you know, like because that's eventually that's the most important thing. And I remember like the stuff I did before, it didn't make me happy. Um, and what I'm doing right now, it like I feel like it makes you like a different person if you
Yeah,
do something that you enjoy. Um, and it's not easy, you know. Like even when I was in that whole EDM thing, I knew I wanted to do something different, but you don't know how, right? That's the
yeah,
whole problem. Like everybody wants to do something different, but no idea where to start.
yeah.
And that's important too. Like finding your way. Find,
How did you find your way? Like, because you also didn't know how to do it. So how did you do it afterwards?
um, yeah, I think it just like I think it just somehow just ended up in something that I like to do
Yeah.
because like my main um like some of my problems were traveling. I didn't like traveling.
Hmm.
Well, that kind of stopped right now, so that's what makes me a little bit more happy now.
Yeah.
Um, but also working on different genres, different genres of music.
Hmm.
And I never wanted. I was always like getting so angry of doing the same thing. Like load up this project, 128 BPM. Okay, kick drum. Okay, let's find a melody on it,
Yeah.
which is the worst thing because you're getting limited by everything.
And you keep thinking inside the same box all over again.
Yeah,
It's almost
and
like opening a template and yeah, the same
yeah,
template, changing the melodies and let's go.
and now I start a song totally different. Like
Mm.
I just play whatever I think is cool, and I do some like weird drums on maybe 100 BPM or you know, and that's the perfect thing about it. I can do whatever I want,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's a big difference in what I did before.
Hmm.
But that's also personally, right? Like
Yeah,
I
sure.
remember back in the days I was going to judo or like tennis.
Yeah.
Everything I did it for like a week or like 2 weeks maximum, and I was already bored of it, and I wanted to do something else. So it's also a little bit personal. Like I
Yeah.
don't like to stick with something for the same period.
I have the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm bored pretty quick. I need to challenge myself every time.
Yeah, and even now I'm even thinking of like DJing again. You know, can you imagine like because I just like now I'm at home.
Yeah.
Like fuck, man, every weekend I'm at home.
Yeah.
You know, I want to travel again. Then I start thinking about like how much fun it was to travel.
Yeah,
But
but I
then,
think that's a big pitfall, because you start to think about the fun things,
yeah.
but you
But
also have
I
to
also think about the worst things. So,
exactly. You should also take in the things that you didn't like, which probably were more percentage of the traveling than the fun parts. Otherwise, you wouldn't have
yeah.
quit.
But I feel like you can still do it
Yeah.
in a way that you will enjoy it, I
Yeah.
guess, because you learn from all the mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And for example, now I would tell my manager like to not accept every booking, only the
Mhm.
bookings I want to do, and I feel
Yeah.
like I could enjoy them. So yeah, I think there's a big difference, and you can still do it. It's just like it's so hard to do something 50% and something
Yeah.
50%. I feel like you have to put 100% in something
True.
to really get the best out of it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if like 50% of my time putting in Alvaro music will do the trick, you know?
Yeah. Well, it would be fun to see Alvaro touring again.
Yeah, maybe one
Yeah.
day. I don't know.
Cool. Well, yeah, I just want to thank you for taking the time to share your story, because I think it will help a lot of artists out there to clear their thoughts and to maybe hear other options in the industry inside of being number one in the industry.
Mm.
Um, And I really admire the choice that you've made to choose for yourself and to follow your dreams.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's great to see that you're still doing well and that things that things packed out well in the other side as well with the producing thing.
Yeah, really, yeah.
So yeah, thanks for taking the time, man, and best of luck with the maybe touring life.
Yeah, same to you, man, and thanks for having me, dude.
Thanks, man. No problem. Have a good day.